Please, get that. Stop that.
Good morning, everybody, from the dank basement. This is your Vicky Donker Squinty. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the dank basement, as always. I am pumped because yesterday I came up with the killer cherry snuff formulation, recipe, whatever you want to call it, and I want to share it with you. So open up Notepad, get an old-fashioned pen and a piece of paper to write this down. You're going to want to try this if you have the ingredients on hand. The reason I had the ingredients on hand is yesterday, Mrs. Squinty and I went through every tin and tap and tub of snuff that I own and sorted them all out. Put them in nice Rubbermaid plastic containers, marked in Braille so I could find them easily. So I've got a small box of toasts. I've got a small box of SPs. I've got a massive box of fruits and candies and chocolates, coffees, alcoholic drinks. I sorted them all out. In Medicateds alone, I probably have 90 different tins and types of nasal snuff. I went through all of them, and among my finds yesterday was a barely used tin of Toke Cherry, okay, half-used or third-used little jar of Abraxas Connoisseur Ceresis, got a little Paul Goddard Blackberry and a little Paul Goddard Cranberry, and I combined them all, sieved them, ran them through a sieve, and put them in a tight vac container, this being the tight vac container, and got about a little bit better than 25 grams, we'll say 26 grams, of the best cherry snuff in the world. So get ready to write, and I'll give you that recipe in just a minute. In fact, this snuff is so darn good, I'm going to open up, I got a Triple Tech. Have you seen these? The Triple Tech snuff box, they're brilliant. They're made by hand, obviously made with love. It can be used as a tap box. You just slide this end cap like so, and there's your hole for your tap box. If you slide that end cap the other way and almost knock it off, you have this darling little snuff spoon. See that? And you can also do what I do, which is to open the big door, big opening. There it is, the big opening. And you probably can't see it, and I don't want to tip it too far because I don't want to spill snuff all over me. Because I like to go barefoot through my snuff, as you know, use my fingers. I'm going to take a big old pinch of this because it's so good. Oh, 5 out of 5 with a star, with a gold star. That stuff is great. All right, you ready to write down the recipe? Got Notepad open or a pen and paper or something? All right, I'll tell you. I weighed the ingredients on my talking gram scale, so I know exactly how much of each ingredient went into the snuff. And I'll tell you, first of all, I had 20 grams on the nose, 20 grams of Toke Cherry. All right. I also had 4 grams of the Connoisseur Ceresis. Now, normally, I would not take a snuff as special as the Abraxas Connoisseur Ceresis and mix it with anything else because it's such a good snuff just on its own. But the jar was about 1.5 years, 2 years old. And I thought, well, better use it rather than throw it away. It had dried out just a little bit, not very much. And it still had that very wonderful cherry liqueur scent. It's fantastic. Kirschwasser or something. It's delicious. And I also had just a tiny bit, a little bit better than a gram, of the Paul Goddard Blackberry and about, we'll say 2 grams of the Paul Goddard Cranberry or Cranbiel. I can't really read the tap box, but it's a cranberry snuff with a little bit of menthol in it. Not much. Enough it's there, but not too much. So what I did is I sieved 20 grams of Toke Cherry. See, it's falling out of my nose. 20 grams of Toke Cherry, 4 grams of Abraxas Connoisseur Ceresis, and I had to sieve the Ceresis because it's more coarsely ground than the others. 1 gram and a pinch, we'll say, of the Paul Goddard Blackberry, and 2 grams of the Paul Goddard Cranberry, all right? Mixed them together, The yield was, give or take, we'll say 26 grams, which I put in a tight vac container. Now, if you haven't seen the tight vac containers, I recommend you get some. Snuff Begins, another reviewer here on YouTube, loves these little, what they call Kellen jars, where you've got the metal wire that locks down the hinged lid with a gasket, keeps your snuff fresh, and you can see your snuff. I can't find them. I can't find the little Kellen jars. I need to go back to Amazon or something so I can find them. But I did get these tight vacs from Snuff Gear. If you go to Snuff Gear's website, as a sidebar here, if you go to Snuff Gear's website, it directs you to eBay. So just go to eBay, look up Tight Vac, T-I-G-H-T, capital V-A-C, Tight Vac containers. They're marvelous for storing snuff, because you use this little button on the side, it belches the air out of the container, and what you end up with is a very tight vacuum seal, keeps your snuff fresh. So anyway, as I said, 20 grams of the taupe cherry, 4 grams of the connoisseur cerises, sieved, well sieved, a gram and a pinch of the Paul Goddard blackberry, and 2 grams, give or take, of the Paul Goddard cranberry. Mixed them all together. This is the cherry snuff at the end of the universe. This will be the only cherry you will want to sniff. And I guarantee it. This is outstanding. Now, a word to the wise. Because the cranberry snuff has a little bit of menthol in it, this does make your nose very juicy. So keep your hanky handy, because you'll be blowing your nose. You will get snotterfalls from this. It's almost as bad as a schmalzler as far as producing mucus, producing snot. So you're going to want to keep your hanky handy. But you're going to love the scent of this snuff. It is fantastic. Let's talk for just a minute, while I've got your attention, about playing with snuff and some snuff recipes. If you've been a long-time viewer, subscriber, you probably saw my vain attempt to come up with the perfect coffee snuff by mixing snuffs. I've gotten close. Here it is. And I won't go into the recipe for this one quite yet. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I've had some failures, too. Here's a notable failure, if I can find the tin. Yeah, here it is. I marked it with a rubber band, see, so I could tell. There you go. This started out as 5 grams of Viking Blonde. Viking Blonde is a wonderful, essentially unscented, light-colored tobacco snuff, as you can tell from the name. And I had 5 grams of it. It was getting pretty stale, even though it was in this shoe polish tin and tightly sealed. Getting a little stale. I also found a sachet, which is a fancy way of saying an envelope that has been coated with either plastic or aluminum something to keep it fresh. The envelope said, Perschel Spearmint mit Menthol. You know, you Germans and your damn menthol and your strict potty training and everything else, I believe at Perschel there is a temple or a shrine to the god of menthol. They probably have like a 1,000-gallon tank of menthol, and they face it 4 times a day, and you know, salam, salam, and all that stuff. Because they believe in menthol like a religion at Perschel. And frankly, a lot of their snuffs have just too much menthol in them to be enjoyable for most snuffers, at least for me. And it said spearmint on the envelope. It wasn't spearmint. It was menthol. The delicious menthol. We must have more menthol and then we will conquer Poland. Yeah, just ridiculous. Sorry, Perschel, you blew it. Your spearmint is about as spearminty as my left foot, which, trust me, ain't spearminty. But I combined it with the Viking Blonde, and then I threw in just a couple of pinches of Lemon Grove, because I like a little citrus back to my mint. And I made the mistake of not sampling it as I went along. And what I ended up with was not spearmint at all, but a relatively nice, but still too heavy on the menthol, snuff. Yeah, I'm not smelling any spearmint in this at all. If I take a pinch, of course it's going to be weird on top of the cherry, but I'm going to do it anyway. Yeah, there is so little spearmint in that, it's imperceptible. I blew it. Bad recipe. Don't try it. But I encourage you to try mixing snuffs, especially if you've got a few leftovers. You'll be surprised at what you might come up with. Now use common sense. You know, you're not going to mix chocolate with an SP, probably. Well, you might. I don't know. But use some common sense. Think of things that taste good together in food. For instance, lemon and mint. It's a very nice combination. Or a couple of different berries thrown in with your cherry, as I did with my killer cherry snuff. In fact, I'm going to even trademark the name. It's going to be Uncle Squinty's Killer Cherry. From the Dank Basement, thanks for putting up with my nonsense. This is Paul Shellbetter, your Uncle Squinty. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. Thanks for watching.